Let's get some more on this and what's going to happen for our local market at the Open. Cameron Peacock joins us now from IG in Melbourne. Cameron, good to see you there. What did you make of the overnight session? Pretty interesting, considering we did see those big losses on Wall Street, but then a recovery for the markets to pretty much end flat there in the US.
Yeah, good morning, Bridie. That's right. Look, it was an interesting session. Yesterday a lot of journalists called me up asking why our market was only up 0.5% at 43.85 when we'd come off the back of a session where the US, Dow Jones was up more than 200 points and, European indices were up, between 2 and 3%. And I said it was just the fact that investors were being cautious and we're sort of in a very volatile period, and it's probably likely to remain volatile heading into the remainder of the year, particularly while this fiscal cliff issue continues to play out. And I think that's what we saw last night. We saw continued uncertainty. We had US markets a little bit lower after some of Bernanke's comments about the fiscal cliff and about the inability of the Fed to have all the tools necessary to I guess, dull the full impact of the fiscal cliff if we do reach that point. And markets did sell off on that, but then they managed to rally into the close. And I think in the end we had the Dow Jones down maybe 5 points and the S&P up a couple of points. So on the back of that, we are calling for a fairly flat start for our market, maybe up a couple of points. But again, it's going to be one of those days where markets probably just chop around current levels.
We're still getting a lot of headlines through with regards to Greece and that EU finance ministers meeting in Brussels. Talk that it's been paused so that further proposals can be nutted out between the lenders. What do you see? I mean, could we have to see further talks? Could this drag on, this situation with Greece?
Yeah, quite potentially. I mean, if you look at the European session, how it closed, I think we had the FTSE up 0.2%, the DAX up 0.7%, the CAC up 0.6%. They rallied into that meeting. There was a lot of speculation that the leaders wouldn't meet that meeting until a deal has been hatched. Obviously, there's a bit of confusion amongst and disagreement amongst the EU and the IMF as to how long Greece is going to have to bring its budget back into check, that 120% of debt to GDP level, whether it's 2020 or 2022. That does seem to be a sticking point, but I think by the end of today or in the next couple of hours we will hear some sort of resolution as to Greece getting its $44 billion in bailout funding. I don't think they're going to want to keep the market hanging on that sort of precipice for any longer, knowing that the uncertainty is certainly going to hurt markets.
I guess just looking at the other factors that the markets will be watching for the rest of the week, now that we've had that speech through from Ben Bernanke and also here, of course, Glenn Stevens, what do you think that markets will be focusing on, given that we are going to have those closures for the Thanksgiving Day holiday in the US?
Yeah, look, heading into this week, I wasn't expecting a lot from it, to be honest. I think, as we know, it's Thanksgiving Day on Thursday. The US markets are closed. They're closed on Friday for a holiday, and I think a lot of Americans start actually travelling on the Wednesday. So, essentially, there was probably two decent sessions that we had to look upon for the US this week, and, they've now come to pass. So I think the rest of the week is going to be very flat. Congress is obviously on hiatus until next week. So, I think the market's probably just going to drift and go through the motions over the next couple of days. I can't really see making a decisive move in either direction while you've got a holiday shortened week and you've got very thin participation. So I think people are just going to continue to sort of sit on the sidelines, maybe pick around the edges, but not make any decisive moves until next week. And hopefully by then we've heard from, or hopefully in the next couple of hours we've heard what's happening on the Greece front, and then further developments possibly likely when Congress comes back next week.
All right, Cameron, thank you as always for that.
Thanks, Bridie.
To some